Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was sitting up here going over a couple of hadiths. So I just want to, as I like to do tadabbur, like deep reflection when I'm looking at Quran, ayats, tafsirs, hadiths, things of that nature, right? So the lighting don't look right on there, but alhamdulillah. So like when I told y'all I had ordered a set of these, they coming in a few books at a time. Only got one left to come through, right? An explanation of Sahih Muslim by Imam Nawawi. So I was looking in the book of faith, right? And it's a couple of hadiths, man, that they always kind of caught my attention. I just wanted to share them and then kind of reflect on like the way I be reflecting. Like looking at the way they practiced Islam before, like the Prophet, his generation, the early generations of Muslims, and then the way we practice it now, right? Like one thing I kind of think on is like the way they dealt with the community and the masjid. Like, let's say you had the Rasul and 10 companions, right? That 10 companions, we just gonna limit it to 10 for this conversation. That 10 companions could have moved to anywhere on this whole entire planet and changed the whole landscape of wherever it was that they went. That's just the Rasul and that 10 companions. Then even after the Rasul, those 9 companions left could have got one more person and had them be 10 and moved anywhere and established. They would have set up a masjid, right? They would have set up some type of system for zakat to make sure that everybody was good. They would have set up businesses if they needed. They would have set up some form of defense in case individuals would attack them. I mean, nobody never really would have had to worry about nothing for real. Everybody would eat good, sufficient. We'll say at the very least, sufficient. No matter where they went, they was going to build some form of Islamic structure on Quran and Sunnah. Like, even if every last one of them had to build a house from the ground up, they all would have helped each other build a house. They all would have helped each other establish a business. They most definitely all would have established the masjid. They would have helped each other get married. Like, even when you look at them and you look at certain particular stories from the Ansar, where the Rasul, when they first migrated to Medina, the people who was in Medina, they knew the landscape of Medina. The people who was with the Rasul knew the landscape and the ins and out of Islam. So he would put one person or maybe a couple of people from Mecca that migrated with him with one person as an Ansar so that they can bond, become companions, and learn from each other. You learn the ways of the city and different things in Medina while you teach that person who's showing you around Islam. How to practice it, how to recite the Quran, the understanding of it. So I mention that part because one person who was getting money in Mecca, when they left Mecca, some of them had to give up absolutely everything. But they was able to leave with the clothes on their back and sometimes just a little bit of what they could carry. Even if it was wrap something up in a sheet and tied around a stick and carry it like that and walked. All of them didn't have no camel or this and that to ride on and walk to Medina, but they had businesses, nice homes. They had to give all of that up. So when they got there, the person he hooked them up with had a wife. He had other things going on, and he told this dude immediately, like, he just meeting him. Immediately, you can have half of everything I got. You look at my wives, and whichever one you like the most, I will divorce. And you can have my wife. That's Islam. That's Islam. You understand? Whichever one of my wives you like the most, I will divorce, and you can have and you can marry that one. But of course, that Muslim was a go-getter. Alhamdulillah. Appreciate the kind gesture, but just take me to the place where they do business. And I could set up my own stores. Take me to the marketplace. The swap meet. In America, those type of structures, we refer to some of them as swap meets, or Chicago, Jewtown. And take me to Jewtown. Let me set something up. You know what I mean? Let me set up my own little table and sell my own goods. And I'll get my own business and I'll get my own wife, But alhamdulillah. But just that concept that they had. Now to bring it into this, you could take 10 Muslims right here in America, and I promise, man, wallahi, this ain't a knock to the Muslim. And take those 10 Muslims, they can't go nowhere and establish nothing. They can't even establish nothing where they are. In a lot of cases. And to be honest, in a lot of areas, in a lot of places where a lot of people is, the only reason why they even really have a masjid or something in this particular day and times, we'll say at least 9 out of 10, is because some people from overseas set it up. If it wasn't for people overseas, some people wouldn't even have a masjid to go to. And it might be 50 people who consider themselves to be Muslim in this particular city. Can't establish nothing. And so you can see, like I said, it ain't a bash, but these is the thing that's going to my mind because I'm looking at these particular hadiths tied into other hadiths that I'm aware of and particular Quran ayats. I'm gonna read one of them real quick, but that's something to ponder over. Some of us can't even establish. I ain't gonna go into that. May Allah make us all be better, but sometimes we have to realize what the problem is, analyze the problem in order to fix it. Some of us don't even see that as a problem. Like, as you see time going on, we don't even really have anything to pass down to our children. Like, there really isn't a firm Islamic structure that's established for our kids to be successful in Islam if we pass away. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing, man. Hold on, I think this cat out here begging for some food. It sounds like riffraff. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back now. It's a little stray cat I be feeding. He be out there yelling, man. If he miss a meal, well, she probably pregnant. So like I was saying though, like I can't remember exactly where I was at, but just from where I can remember leaving off, in some cities, in some of these smaller cities, even some big cities, if it wasn't for foreigners, alhamdulillah, like I'm not saying this as a knock against them, we wouldn't have no masjid. It could be like 50 of us, and I'm not only speaking about here in the specific city I'm in. A lot of places where I've been, to be honest with you, the majority of the places that I've been, it wouldn't even be no masjid, but it'd be like a lot of brothers. And when I say brothers, I don't just specifically mean African American brothers. I mean like American. It could be, they be white, they be black, but if it wasn't, we can't establish nothing. But then in that day, not just the Rasul and his 10 Muslims in those generations, wherever they went, man, they established Islam. Masjid, businesses, defense, as in the form of, protecting themselves, the women and the children, not just their wives and their kids. Some type of form that's bringing in income or food. You know what I mean? Even if it was selling the little vegetables and fruits that was prominent in their areas. Some type of zakat structure, the way it went on. Like, I've been in communities that had at least 10 doctors. Out of the 10 doctors, some of them had private practices. 10, 12, just numerous engineers, executives. There's zakat money alone, when paid properly, just the money part, it shouldn't have been a poor person in the community. But you had people in the community who couldn't even, like, if it wasn't for like a little Jumar dinner or something, like, but I look at the way they did it and the way we do it. They didn't do it how we do it. We should be able to go anywhere, in any city you live in. Now, of course, like some cities where they done had like generations of Muslims, like a Philly, like a New Jersey, where the Nation of Islam was prominent, and they transitioned over to real Islam as the Nation of Islam started falling apart. So like some individuals, their great grandparents was Muslim. Their mother and father was born Muslims. So not only, they wasn't like the first Muslim in their family. Their aunts, their uncles, you know what I mean? Their grandmother, their grandfather, their great-grandmother, great-grandfather was Muslim. So in certain cities, when you have generations of Muslims, you have some things that's established Islamically, alhamdulillah. And then you might have like where I'm saying as in Americans. But anyway, look at this hadith, man. I'm gonna give y'all one. So this one is in Sahih Muslim in the book of faith. So one hadith where it says faith, and this ain't the main one, but this is one that's right behind the main one, where it said faith. The chapter heading is faith fades away at the end of time. It's not saying Muslims, but it's saying faith, iman. This is also going to be part of knowledge being taken away as well. Because the proper Islamic knowledge, the people not even going to have it. So what it says is, Thabit reported from Anas that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the last hour will not happen until no one on earth will be able to say Allah, Allah. So by the time that the hour comes, right before it happened, the little bit of Islamic knowledge that's going to be left on earth is the only thing people going to know how to say is Allah. We believe, we know we was created by something called Allah. That's it. No Rasul Allah. And it blew my mind because, like, it had to be about 8 years ago. It was some brothers in England, in the United Kingdom or somewhere over there. They had a little movement called Roadside to Islam. And they showed this brother, man, who had went to this area, man, like real destitute Bedouin type area where it was Muslims. And then they was going up to these Muslims and they was like, and this was real. This wasn't like no fake skit. It wasn't none of this comedy stuff they do right now. And some people got mad, man, because the brothers who actually went and did the video, it was like some people that I think they was associated with like Ali Dawah. And you know, some certain people had problems with Ali Dawah and some of them guys who did little Islamic videos. But anyway, they was kind of associated with him or something. It was somewhere where they went to go like dig a well to try to help the people. And the people was Muslim. So they was going up to the people and was like, who is your prophet? They was like, we don't know. And they was serious. Have you ever even heard of Prophet Muhammad? They was like, no. They was like, who is your God? Who is your creator? And they were saying Allah. Now I was aware of this hadith at the time, because like I said, I read half of Sahih Muslim, right? And when and they was showing this, saying, look, this is some of the fulfillment of this hadith. And they was going to they was even going to like some of the extremely elderly people in this village. Like sometimes it's hard to tell how old they are, but they was looking like 70 and 80. And they were saying the same thing. They couldn't even teach the kids nothing. They didn't know no salat. They didn't know no wudu. All they knew was that they was created and everything around them was created by Allah. No prophet, no Quran ayat, no there is a Quran. They didn't know any of that. And this wasn't no skit. This was real. And I think I might have watched that video in maybe like 2011, between 2011 and 2013. And it blew my mind. But now, as you go and you start to learn, you could see how this happened. Because like right now, for real, it's extremely easy to bump into a Muslim. They can repeat things that they've heard, but they don't know if it's true or not. But one thing for sure, they know that Allah is the creator, and they know that the Rasul is his messenger. But they can't really tell you nothing about the Rasul. Like I'm not trying to be funny. Wallahi, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. And this particular brother, he do live in this city. I don't know if he watched my video. I don't even know if he know I be on. But anyway, we was all at the masjid, and we finally had got them to a point when we found out that they basically had money set aside to buy books and things to help the growth of the Muslims. So they didn't have no classes. So due to us going back and forth, and then a particular brother, they finally got him on the board. And me and him was real cool. So we having conversations. So it's like, what? They got all these years, they done had a whole amount of money just sitting aside to get us books and educational stuff, and it's just sitting there. So we convinced them to buy us some educational books, and some of us who've studied these books and sat through classes, we'll teach them. And so when it came time to get ready to order the books, a couple of people wanted to debate about what book should be bought. And but they wasn't a book reader. Their main concern was, I don't want y'all to pick the books because y'all want to use those books and make us look bad when we all gonna learn them together. But this was their logic. This is what they were saying. So I looked at the brother, and I wasn't trying to be funny, and I wanted to show him, Ak, you really need some Islamic education. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. He said, man, Ak, how you figure that? Because he has been Muslim at this particular time. And this was probably around 2015, 2014, 2015 maybe. So I just said to him, Wallahi, what's the Prophet Muhammad real name? So at this particular time, he had been Muslim over 20 years. I said, what's the Prophet Muhammad real name? Not where you had to go through the whole entire Ibn Abdullah and this and that. You could at least said Muhammad. I said, hey, what's the Prophet Muhammad real name? Wallahi, he didn't know. Wallahi, he didn't know. I said, man, at the very least, at the very minimum, I would have thought you would have at least said Muhammad. He said, that ain't his name. That's his kunya. I said, okay. Well, what's his name? But you want to be disruptive over the educational books that they're finally going to buy for us to start to educate the community, and you want to be disruptive because you saying we want to choose books that's going to make you look bad. This is education, man. You don't even know the Prophet Muhammad name. To you, and when to him, Acuna meant that's just something they call people. So Prophet Muhammad ain't his name. That's just something they call him. So when you look at hadiths like this, and no knock to the brother, I've seen that brother maybe going on close to 2 years. A year and some change ago, like July. I was around that brother in July of 2022. So July 2023 was a year. And now we in January of 2024. So it's been about a year and a half since I last seen this brother. And he's haven't even grew a smidget from the day that I asked him what's the Prophet Muhammad, what's Prophet, I ain't say real name. I said, hey, what's Prophet Muhammad name? He didn't know. He didn't know. And had been Muslim over 20 something years. At that time. So right now he might be in a 30-year range, because this was like 2014. So when you look at it and it's saying it's going to get to a point where right before the hours start, the least amount that people going to be able to say is, Allah is my God. Allah is the creator. Yeah. Yeah. And then once that part is lost, where people not even going to say that. Some going to refer to themselves as Muslims, some not. They not even going to say that. Then that's when the hour is going to come. So it ain't saying the Muslims is going to be gone. The Iman, the faith, it's just going to slowly fade away. The beginning of those processes is knowledge is going to be taken away. Not that knowledge isn't out there. The knowledge is out there. There's no way on earth, especially in this day and time, that you should be a Muslim for 20 something years and don't even know that Prophet Muhammad's name is Muhammad. In the age of information, but due to Hadiths and Wahi, we know this type of day is going to come. And by me dealing with Hadiths, I've been dealing with Hadiths for over 20 years. Hadiths has just always been my thing. Like, I got into Hadiths before I got into Tafsirs. I started reading Sahih Bukhari in like 2021. So since 2021, I've been hooked on Hadiths. Hooked. You know what I'm saying? I've moved on to other things, a little bit of fiqh, a little usul, of course Tafsirs. Tafsirs been the second thing to me, only because I got into Hadiths first. You know what I mean? But so I've been aware of these things. These was just things I never thought that I would see. So I've been in a masjid with an individual that had been Muslim for over 20 years. Come to Jumu'ah, Taraweeh, and didn't even know that Prophet Muhammad's name was Prophet Muhammad. His name ain't Prophet Muhammad. That's just something they call him. Wallahi. So as I'm reflecting and then just doing different things and looking how they the way I see Islam practiced now, and then I look at the way they did things. It didn't even take 10 Muslims. It could have took 3 Muslims, and they went somewhere and changed the whole landscape to where they was. I mean, it's apparent. It doesn't happen. Basically, the majority of the whole Middle East is considered to be Muslim country with Kafirs in it. It was Kafirs in it then. And some of us, the cities we in, man, we can't even change the landscape. We can't even establish an Islamic landscape on our side of town that we've been on our whole life. with 100 brothers. That's ridiculous, man. That's scary. So, to come to the main hadith, before that, where it's called, this the chapter heading of it. And this is in the Book of Faith in Bukhari, but also these hadiths is in, so like this one is Ibn Majah. You know, I show Ibn Majah a lot of love. So you can see it in Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, different things. I like Ibn Majah because Ibn Majah, even in the English and Arabic, it has a lot of taqreej, a lot of explanations, what the scholars say, what Ibn Majah says. So I have a lot of taqreej, an explanation of the hadiths. Tirmidhi has it. The only ones that don't really have taqreej like that is Bukhari, Muslim, Nasa'i. Nasa'i has some. So you have to get other books, like how I had to get this one to explain a lot of the hadiths that's in Muslim. So like, I'm going to read this hadith from Ibn Majah first, right? So it's under the chapter heading. Now this one is in the Book of Tribulations, where basically some refer to it as like the Book of Turmoil. Basically things that's going to go on to let you know that the hour is near. Different things like that. So it's under the chapter heading of Islam begin as something strange. So this the first hadith, right? It was narrated from Abu Hurairah that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Islam began as something strange, and it will go back to being strange. So give glad tidings to the strangers, right? Which is kind of interesting. Give glad tidings to the strangers. Now, the next hadith, it was narrated from Anas ibn Malik that the Messenger of Allah said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So again, glad tidings to the strangers, barakats, blessings of Allah upon the strangers. So here go the third one, which give a little more explanation. And that's why sometimes when people reading hadiths and you reading them in a book, somebody point out a hadith to it and you try to use it as dalil, right? Read like the next 5, because generally sometimes they'll start to grow and give more explanation to help understand it, right? So here go the third one. It was narrated from Abdullah that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange, so give glad tidings to the strangers. It was said, who are the strangers? He said the strangers are those who left their families and tribes, right? Because you know they was a tribal people, for Islam. So it doesn't always mean like I moved away from anybody that was family to me or our family lineage, because we don't generally use tribes. But here in the Midwest, some people refer to the gang, this just real stuff that be Muslim. Like for instance, I know some Muslims that'll be like, I'm a Muslim, but I'm from the tribe of the Black Pea Stones. so I'm Muslim, but I'm from the tribe of the Gangster Disciples. I'm from the tribe of the BDs, the Black Disciples. Like this, you hear this real terminology. So these is individuals who gave up. So I'm going to put it in that type of context. What you consider to be your tribe, the tribe of the blood, the tribe of the clique, the tribe of your fraternal orders or whatever, right? So they leave those things or left them on. Not that they completely abandon it. So like, for instance, I don't let my family continue to pull me into having Thanksgiving dinner with them. Those things, even on that small level. Yeah, my mom is my mom, but no more Mother's Day. None of these paganism cloaked in things. So like, I know according to fiqh, Not every madhab, which is what they want to say, but in fiqh, certain particular holiday, it's sad. Certain holidays that they come up with that's not necessarily tied to the religion. For instance, Thanksgiving really isn't tied to a particular religion, but Christians do it. Basically, as in, it's not a celebration of Jesus, it's not a celebration of Buddha or any type of religions, but certain aspects of it can be cloaked in paganism. So so it's really a slippery slope. So things like the 4th of July, it's not tied to the birth of Jesus or this saint or this religious Jewish guy or one of the older prophets, Yusuf. It's just some Americanized celebrating their independence. So in some versions of fiqh, they say being that it's not tied to a religion, you can decide whether you want to participate in it or not. Because just because Christians do it doesn't mean it's tied to Christianity. You understand? If that make any sense. So even stuff, Valentine's Day isn't really tied into a particular religion. But it's such a slippery slope because Christmas technically isn't either. Birthdays technically isn't either. But the slippery slope is a lot of this stuff is tied to paganism. So it might not be a religious holiday, but it can be a pagan holiday. So people have to learn into fiqh, and a lot of people from fiqh, they don't discuss these type of things because they know how slippery the slope is for Americans, because all you need is just an inkling or something. They say that, oh, I'm at the 4th of July barbecue, baby. It ain't tied to Christmas. It ain't tied to the Jews or Christianities. It ain't a Baptist thing. We celebrating June 13th. We celebrating our independence. What they call it? June 16th or whatever it's called. Hey, we celebrating our independence as slaves. I'm at that barbecue, baby. Give me some beef ribs and sauce. You see what I'm saying? But so that's some of the fiqh rulings, and then your participation is limited. So like other people, you can't eat none of your mama's cooking for Thanksgiving. That's not what you know what I'm saying. So this is where the fiqh comes into play. So I won't turn it into that. But anyway, so as it's saying, the strangers are the ones who given up these things and stick to Quran and Sunnah, because Islam gonna become so strange, it's actually gonna become something else, because it's gonna be filled with bid'ah and customs. This is what I think Islam is. Hey, I'm allowed to do this, I'm allowed to do that. Just like in a previous video that I've done, where I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard it outside of the particular Muslims in this city. They have a term called tabliqin, which they stole from the Tablighi Jamaat. So they have a term of, you can have a girlfriend that worship Jesus, that says Jesus is God, eat chitlins in your face, which is about the nastiest part of the pig. That's why I refer to it as chitlins. Eat chitlins in your face, pig feet, the kind out the jar, the pickle kind, the boiled kind, eat pig feet, put Christmas trees up. Like, real talk. I know a Muslim brother in this city that had a Christian girlfriend that had candles with who they think is Jesus on it, right? With the white guy on it. Not saying white as in a racist, tone, but this person who Cedra Begorgius, or however you pronounce his name, and people think that's the painting of Jesus, but with the statue of with this dude on the candle, and she would burn him and do little prayers and stuff to him. So she not only is she's worshiping candles and making wishes up on them and praying to the candles, and I've been over there, she collected like little statues of what she considered angels. So it would be like a butt naked baby, male and female, with the private parts on it. Like a cupid. So it's a butt naked baby with the private parts on it, male and female. Okay? Basically a butt naked baby with wings. That's all it was. This is a butt naked baby with wing statue, but these is angels. And I'm talking about whole living room and everything covered with these little statues. Some of them was babies, some of them was like old men with a trumpet with wings on them, you know what I'm saying? But she felt like these things was keeping her house safe. So like every Sunday or every whatever the day is, she would burn these candles and had all these candles with these, like, I'm not going to say that's Jesus, because I know that painting, that picture is not Jesus, let alone Prophet Esau. But with this picture of this guy on it and crosses all on him, she burning them, praying to him, all in his face. And he felt this girl was permissible enough to be his girlfriend as long as he was tablighin her. So they basically, tablighin means giving dawah, basically. A sophisticated way to give dawah. Even so more so that this brother used to have to, and I'm not trying to bash him, but this is going on how strange Islam is going to become. This dude used to have to put his head in a closet to try to make salat, because she would kick him in the head while he was in prostration. Or while he in prostration, while he making salat and he standing up like this, she would light one of them candles that she feel like is a Jesus candle and put it in front of his prayer rug. So now he's prostrating to what she considered to be a Jesus candle in a room full of butt naked baby statues with wings on them, talking about they angels. But listening to these individuals, he's tablighin. So it's permissible for her to be his girlfriend. Some of the most strangest, I don't even call it a version of Islam, because it's not even a version of Islam. Some of the strangest things that you will hear out of the mouths of people that have accepted Islam. But if your belief system is that, and I'm going to speak on this, you really haven't accepted Islam when everything that you're doing is not part of Islam. You understand? To accept Islam is to be up on the practices and the principles of what Islam has came with. Now you could say, I have accepted the fact that Islam is the truth. I have accepted that Islam is the truth. That is strange. That is strange. That is strange. But let me do what I gotta do real quick, and I'm gonna come back and close out this video, because I want to I want to get it a little bit more into Islam becoming strange. But then when you, and this a little bit of, when you have Muslims with this particular type of mindset, and when I'm telling you this wasn't 20 years ago. We talking about these as recent situations. I knew this situation I'm talking about, this again was in about, the last that I knew about this situation with these individuals, with this brother trying to make salat and she kicking him all in the head and putting what she considered to be Jesus candle so he can worship the candle in front of his prayer rug. And then so like if he would move it to the side, she'd kick him all in the head. So he had to pray in the closet. He had to open up the door of the closet and put his head, prostrate with his head into the closet so she couldn't kick him in the head. Now she just kick him in the butt and stuff. The simple fact that you get up from that and continue to be this sister's boyfriend is beyond me. It's beyond me. Cloaked up under a fake principle that totally contradicts the Quran and Sunnah, where you can't have a girlfriend or boyfriend under any circumstances. So we're not going to say it's an Islamic principle, but because you use words that you consider to be Islamic, like tabliki, this make it permissible for a Muslim to do. And this brother, particular brother, was over the age of 40 and had been Muslim for more than 20 years. This brother had went to the courthouse and legally changed his name to some Arabic terminology. with his very last name ending in Muhammad. Your last name, kind of like Elijah Muhammad. Your last name is Muhammad. You got a girlfriend that worship and pray to candles, whose house is being kept safe by butt-naked baby statues with wings on them. Yeah. And this is the protection of the house. B, your last name is Muhammad, B. And this is your girlfriend? And it's permissible? Because you're tablighi her? Let me do what I gotta do, man, and come back and get back to the point. But this is strange. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So let me go ahead and finish this out and try to get it closed off and everything. But like I'm saying though, man, this is strange. And from the understanding I have, that brother still with that sister today. They've been together over 10 years. Now, I will say but due to the fact that this was the speech of every single African American in this community, except for me and one other brother who used to be around me, who was on that same type of speech until we got cool, he decided to help that brother out and marry him to the sister. Now I went Because I wanted to see it, but of course I was the problem because I gave that brother a ton of Dalil. You can't marry that sister, brother. Man, your girl worship candles, B. She got idols. She's up on idolatry, dude. She kick you in your head while you in prostration to Allah. Brother, you can't marry. That ain't no sister of the book. And she used to sit down. How you top bleaking her, and she would sit down and make you read the Bible to her. Not the Quran, not Hadiths, not the Sirah. You got to sit down and read the Bible because she's trying to convert you. And on paper, on your driver's license, you got the name of a Muslim. I ain't going to say his name, but it ended in Muhammad. Where's the top bleaking part? You see what I'm saying? So, but because I'm bringing all the real hadiths, I'm bringing this, man, she's an idolater. Oh, you don't know no Islam, all you know is hadiths. Extremely strange statement from a Muslim. And we not talking about a person who just took Shahada, been Muslim over 20 years. And these is individuals that's 40 and over. We not talking about 17, 18-year-olds. So to get to the hadith, so some of the explanations where it says, the strangers to whom the congratulations are granted in the hadith are those who adhere to the sunnah strictly when innovation prevails. Innovation is definitely going to prevail. They stay firm on the true beliefs when false beliefs become common, and hold fast to Islamic attributes when immorality is predominant in the society. So that's letting you know how strange it's going to get amongst the Muslims. This is how strange Islam is going to become amongst the Muslim Ummah. And only the peace and the blessings is wished up on the ones that don't fall into it. And I just gave y'all two scenarios, not to bash these brothers, not to make them look bad, but I'm speaking about personal situations, things that I've witnessed with my eyes, conversations that I've had that tie directly into these hadiths. But certain individuals that think that way will say hadith is superstition. I reject that hadith. It ain't real. But you accept that you can tabligh a girlfriend 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You don't have to lower your gaze around her. You can look at her naked. She can look at you naked. And all type of other things that can go on that we'll leave to the imagination. Hadith is superstition, but this crap y'all done made up is real. That contradicts and go against everything in the Sunnah. And when I tell you, All it took was one individual to come up with this fake Islamic practice. Everybody went and got a girlfriend. Big calf. we not talking about a person of the book on any level. We not even talking about a good wholesome girl that reads the Bible and take the good parts out of it and may go to church and say, no, I don't believe Jesus is God. I do believe he was just a prophet. You know, not even down to that bare minimum. Stop for the law. This is strange. So this is letting you know what the society is going to get like. You know what I'm saying? And every time I seen that brother, he was in the worst predicaments. And I used to sit down and say to him, man, like, you need to return back to Islam, man. You need to return back to Quran and Sunnah. To him, that was insulting. You know why? Because he was up on Quran and Sunnah in his head. Tablighin is from the Sunnah. Okay. Why do you say that? Ain't you ever heard of the Tablighi Jamaat? You ain't never heard of the Tablighi Jamaat? Alright. So cool. Where they girlfriends at? Where they Kafir girlfriends at? Show me the Tablighi that told you that was permissible, and let me talk to him. and let me have a conversation with him. You know what happened? They can't find a single Tablighi that told them that, because they found a loophole and created some whole plethora of dumminess so that they could be up on the deen of their desires, cloaked under the religion of Islam. Islam is my religion, but my desires is my deen. Strange. Let me show y'all a little bit from Imam Noah, right? Where it's saying, same hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Islam started as strange and it will revert to being strange as it has started. So blessings be to the ones that's strangers. Because best believe, you're going to be the strange one. You're going to be the one that they feel like they put you in isolation. We don't fool with that brother. We don't fool with that sister. All they talk about is hadiths. All they talk about is tafsirs. That ain't even real Islam. Hadiths made up. But Tablighin a girlfriend for 20 years is real. You're going to be the strange one. So when you look at it, it says just a little bit of explanation. Look, I'm trying to skip some of the Arabic where it break down certain words that's used, and just get to it where right. I'll use a little bit. So this word is derived from a root that means good, wholesome, pleasant, etc. And is used in the Quran in connection with what the righteous will receive. So it's talking about where it's saying the blessings to the strangers, the words that is used in Arabic. It's saying this same word is used in the Quran as a connection to what the righteous people will receive. So this is the type of blessings that those strangers will receive. The ones that is referring into the Quran that's meant only for the righteous, right? So commentators give it many different meanings. Ibn Abbas said that it means happiness and full satisfaction. Ikramah said, "It's goodly is what they will have." Other suggestions include delight, goodness, abundance of goodness, heaven, or a tree that's in heaven. All these apply to its usage in the Hadith, but we choose to render it as blessings be to the strangers. The type of blessings that's where the word is used in the Quran, connected to what the righteous will receive. So that's just a little bit on it, then a little bit more, right? This also so Qudi Iyad quotes by Ibn Abu Uwais said that Malik explained the Hadith as referring to Medina, and that Islam started there as a strange call, and that it will return to that state, right? He also commentates that the Hadith appears to be general in meaning, and that Islam started with a small number of individuals. Then it spread far and wide, but it will start to suffer and decrease until it returns back to that state when it is followed by a small number of people. So there's going to be a whole lot of Muslims, but only a small amount of people is going to follow it the way that it should be followed, the way that they followed it in the beginning. That's part of the strangeness, where it started off that it was strange. You could have took 3 Muslims in that time. Even look at them on a battlefield, where it was a small amount of Muslims, and they would defeat thousands of other people of their enemies. 3 people, you could have took 3 of them Muslims and they could have whooped 300 type of things. So it's going to go back to it started off strange, and it's going to go back to being strange because it expanded far and wide, but only a small amount of people is going to practice Islam the way that it's supposed to be practiced, the way they did it, right? Then it says, in the Hadith, the strangers are stated to mean those who deserted their own tribes, their family lineage, and this and that, right? Al-Harari said that the Prophet meant those who leave their homes and migrate to support Allah's path, like hijrah to their deen. You know what I'm saying? Hijrah to Allah. You see what I'm saying? So just another little bit where it says the Prophet says that Islam regroups itself in Medina, and the commentator said that this means that faith is like that in its early and latter days. It's going to go back to what they used to do. So that's why you see like great scholars and imams, big scholars and imams with their names, they used to say, like even from the 4 madhahibs, the only thing that's going to save the Muslims in this generations is what saved them in the first. You see what I'm saying? So this is what it's saying. You got to go back you got to take your faith, your iman, back to the early days, right? At the beginning of Islam, everyone was a genuine believer and a true Muslim. They all would start to go to Medina, either as a migrant or to settle there, or motivated by eagerness just to meet the Rasul and learn from him. So even right now, a lot of people still go there to get educated, to learn from the scholars, to sit with the scholars, to live in the lands of the Muslims. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it here, man. And glad tidings to the strangers. Individuals are looking to becoming strangers. You know what I'm saying? You might have to be the only one. And you might be hated for it. You might be slandered. You might be lied on. You might be boycotted. But trust and believe, if Muslims is practicing things that's totally made up and conjured up, that's worse than bid'ah? Because one thing about bid'ah can at least look like the religion. You understand? Bid'ah can look like the religion. That's what makes bid'ah dangerous, because it could lead you to the hellfire, but it look like the religion. This stuff don't even look like the religion. So being boycotted and disliked and all these type of things by these type of individuals, sometimes they fit into a category with this type of mindset. They not going to be pleased with you until you practice the way they practice. How that Quran ayat say. Because they not up on a system of belief. I'm not going to refer to them as a disbeliever, but these systems is systems of disbelief that you practice. You're not going to be pleased with anybody until they practice it the way that you practice. That's Quran al-Kareem. So they never going to be pleased with you until you start to practice how they practice and live it how they live it. And may Allah protect the ones who haven't fallen into it to never fall into it. And for the ones who have, may Allah allow them a way out, which the way is there. They just have to turn to it. And may they find their way up out of that. But don't feel bad. Don't feel lonely. Oh man. Because I know some people who done, I know sisters done got the uncovering and a whole lot of stuff. I'm lonely. I feel like I don't have no companions. Man, Allah, what is with Allah is better. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'll be lonely, man. I mean, I'm not lonely. I enjoy myself. Because to tell you the truth, just because you in that group don't mean that you're not alone. Just like some of these sisters could be like, man, you know what? I'm married, but I'm lonely in my marriage. That's not companionship. I don't care if it is in the masjid. That's not companionship. Because that's not Islam. It ain't even close to it. It actually contradicts the very principles that you taught to stand on that's in accordance with Islam. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Any mistakes that I made came from Shaitan and myself, and anything that I said that was correct came from Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-Muqtadir. It's time to get it together, people, because when you get into the hadiths and when you get into the tafsirs about these ayats, and then you hear different things where people say, Islam gonna be here until everything. But it's referring to the practice of Islam. If you go and start to look into what it's talking about, it's gonna be Muslims that's gonna get to the point where they don't even say Allah. Who's your creator? They might say some strange stuff like one of the ancestors. Because trust and believe, I'm starting to see Muslims right now giving it up to the ancestors. You know what I'm saying? I was created, my creator is energy. The energy that the ancestors left when they passed. Better save yourself, man. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.